I would like to call to order the council meeting of June 24th. Again, apologize for the lateness of this. We were longer in committee of the whole. So with that, turn to the clerk.
Councilmember Dunbar. Here. Councilmember Garza. Here. Councilmember Hussein. Here. Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Spatafor. Councilmember Spitzley. Here. Councilmember Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Washington. There are 7 members present, a quorum. Councilmember Washington is absent.
And Councilmember Washington is at a meeting at Town Hall, meeting in the First Ward at the Friendship, at the Faith Fellowship Church on Dakin, along with the NAACP. So she will not be with us tonight.
We are to the meditation and pledge of allegiance.
As we're taking a moment for meditations, I did had somebody contact me about Dale Schroeder. Dale fell and broke his wrist and his heel, and we were asked if we would remember him as we're taking a moment of meditation. Is there anyone else that would like us to be? All right. Thank you. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have for your approval the printed council proceedings of May 20th, June 3rd, and June 10th.
Vice President Spatafor.
Madam President, I move the approval of the printed council proceedings from May 20th, 2019, June 3rd, 2019, and June 10th, 2019.
We have a motion before us. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And we are to special ceremonies. We have a tribute in recognition of Cindy Elwood.
And if Mr. Vice President Spatafor is going to present that. I'm not, is there someone from?
She's here.
It appears from your facial expression that this was a good kept secret and surprise. So if you all could come down with me here, that'd be great. You all want to join us up here in the well? Guests of Cindy's?
We have some of your board members here. And, and they didn't let you read the agenda while you were sitting.
And I didn't
there
think
either.
Malik could keep a secret.
He can.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, come around in the well
Yeah.
so that,
there'll be pictures.
Yep,
of you
yep.
on TV. That's right.
yes.
Many of you behind me know Cindy and the contribution she's made to this community. In 2005, she founded the Women's Center of Greater Lansing and served as the executive director since then. Retiring on April 1st, 2019, her commitment to this community is unparalleled by anyone I've met, and her dedication to women in service is unmatched. And I'm proud to stand here knowing her as a friend, as a resident, and a longtime friend of my family, and make the motion to approve the resolution recognizing the years and countless hours that Cindy Allwood has dedicated to serving our community, and congratulate her on her well-deserved retirement as the Executive Director of the Women's Center of Greater Lansing.
We have a motion. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
There's a copy for you. And I think, Malik, were you going to say a few words? A few words, Malik?
Thank you for the hint. There are times in life where you see people receiving an award and you wonder if. There are times in life when you see someone living their life and you're wondering if. I am so thankful that Councilperson Spatafor spearheaded this and made this possible. because Cindy Allwood is one of the biggest champions of Lansing that I've ever met. An unsung hero that has dedicated life, resources, soul, and the rest of our lives too, in her special way. But we've been glad to do it, and so thankful that you were able to get this recognition that you so well deserve. Thank you for being a great part of Lansing.
Okay.
I do not. I can barely stand up.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. We want to thank you for all your years of service and developing a catalyst that helped many, many people and have and will continue. Thank you very much.
We are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Do we have council member comments? Do we have any council member? Councilmember Dunbar.
Thank you. Even if it rains, we don't care, we still have a market. It seems that every single day this year, we've had rain, but we still have a market. So the South Lansing Farmers Market is this Thursday. Strawberries are in season, and it is our children's festival. So we are going to have a bounce house. It doesn't matter if it rains, it'll be inside. Strawberries, kids' activities, all kinds of vendors. There's a lot of produce as well. Folks are growing in greenhouses, and the weather is doing pretty well for a lot of stuff. But I wanted to let you know, it's Thursday. This Thursday, 3 to 7, St. Casimir. If you don't know the address, it's 800 West Barnes. If you don't know where that is, it's in the middle of the Morris Park neighborhood, just south of Winkin, Blinken, and Nod. Thursday. See ya.
Thank you. Vice President Spatafor, and then Councilmember Hussein and Councilmember Garza.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to my colleagues if this is inappropriate, but today is Kyle Kaminsky's last meeting reporting on the Lansing City Council as he leaves the city pulse to go to law school, and he's put us in the paper enough, so I think we should make some news with him and congratulate him. So congratulations, Kyle.
Okay, Councilmember Hussein, Councilmember Garza.
Just a reminder that first, we will not be having our constituent contact meeting for July for the 3rd Ward. Historically, we have always taken July off. We will be back at it, I believe it is August 10th, 10 to 12 noon. We'll be at Fire Station number 6 at 5135 Pleasant Grove Road. So again, no meeting this July in terms of the second Saturday for our constituent contact meeting. Beyond that, I was asked to discuss a withdrawal of an application for a rezone at 5400 South Cedar. For those that recall, there was going all the way back to March, we actually looked to introduce and set a public hearing for a rezone from F Commercial to G2 Wholesale. That's the old Kmart site over there on South Cedar. The request was to allow for a self-storage facility. The night that we looked at setting the public hearing, there were some unfortunate comments that were made, and due to that, the applicant asked that we actually look at an extension in terms of setting that public hearing, and they wanted that public hearing set 60 days from that date. So that was, I believe, May 20th. We had that public hearing. It was referred back to Development and Planning. At Development and Planning, we actually considered a motion and approved a motion to move that rezone request back to council for June 10th. After we voted on that, the applicant raised his hand and asked that we actually reconsider that motion and put this before council for June 24th. That reconsideration was made, it was approved, and so again, this is the second time an extension was being requested. We did, again, push that forth, and we were set to vote on that tonight. Late last week, we received another request for an additional extension. As chair of DMP, I consulted with Councilwoman Wood, and we decided that we had given enough extensions and that we would vote tonight. Due to that, the applicant decided to withdraw their application. And so for that reason, we will not be looking at that tonight as part of council consideration. I do believe that they will go back through the application process. There might be some tweaks to their application in terms of rezone, but again, that is the responsibility of the applicant. The last piece is I want to announce the Swag Spaghetti Dinner. This is the second annual Southwest Action Group Spaghetti Dinner. Last year, and again, Southwest Action Group is a group of business owners and neighborhood leaders over at the intersection of Pleasant Grove and Holmes that are really working hard to rejuvenate and breathe new life into that intersection. Last year's spaghetti dinner was incredibly successful and provided the necessary money to actually buy a piece of property at the intersection that could serve as host to a town square. We received enough money that property was purchased. There is a financial plan in place to actually bring that town square to fruition. However, post-construction, there will be maintenance costs. And there are other beautification projects, things of that nature that these folks want to be able to fund and support at the intersection. And so they are having a second annual spaghetti dinner. That is July 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. That will be held at, as was last year's, at Tabernacle of David Church. That's located at 2645 West Holmes Road. The price of a ticket is $10. Elfrida Schmidt will be the guest of honor. Last year, our mayor was actually the guest of honor. Tickets can be purchased a number of ways. They can be purchased online. Actually, just got a text. Online, they can be purchased at 1910 Food Market. And if you're going to go online, the easiest way, because it is an incredibly long URL, just Google Second Annual Swag Spaghetti Dinner, and it's the first link that pops up. And also they can be bought at the door July 10th, the night of the event, beginning at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And just for clarification, the recommendation coming out of the Development and Planning Committee on that particular rezone was Councilmember Hussein.
Oh, I'm sorry. The recommendation was to put it before council for a final vote, and that was supported 2-1.
For denial.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. That takes us to Councilmember Garza, then Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. This is just a reminder, my next constituent contact meeting is going to be July 13th. That's the second Saturday of July. That will be held at the Fire Station 44 at 1435 East Miller Road from 1 to 3 p.m. So once again, that's July 13th, 1 to 3 p.m., Fire Station 44 at 1435 East Miller Road. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to thank everybody that came out to our last Fourth Ward constituent contact meeting this last Saturday. We hold them every fourth Saturday of the month, so this July will be the 27th from 10 to 12 at Gregory's, 2510 North MLK. We had great discussion, very casual. Everybody's welcome and everybody's input is appreciated. So it's the people's agenda. Anything you want to talk about, we're here to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other council member comments? Just want to remind the public that on Tuesday is Rejuvenating South Lansing. That is held at the Alfreda Smith Southside Community Center on Wise Road in the Sandy Allen Community Room. The speaker for Tuesday night's presentation will be Andy Kilpatrick, Departmental Director of Public Service. So if you have issues with sidewalks, roads, bring your pictures, bring your diagrams. He's there to answer questions. So again, that starts at 6:30, and that is tomorrow night. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, President Wood. Couple of announcements. For those who are on our permanent absent voter list or have already turned in an absentee ballot application, we will be mailing the bulk of those ballots out this Friday. So there is still time. If you haven't received an application and haven't turned it in yet, there's plenty of time to do that. I also, since the state constitution eliminated the requirement to have a reason to vote absentee, many of you have gotten a mailing at home inviting you to be on our automatic application list. So I encourage you to return that form. We'll get you on the automatic list, and for every election, you'll get an application for an absentee ballot. And once you return that, when we get the ballots in, we'll mail that to your home. So I strongly encourage you to sign up for that. It was a big advancement in voting rights that occurred last year with Proposal 3, so I hope voters will take advantage of that. And again, most voters should have received something in the mail either this weekend or today.
Mr. Clerk, before you go on, one of the questions I received over the weekend was if I put those applications in the ballot boxes where you normally put a ballot, are those picked up and checked at those locations?
Those locations, we have a drop box, 24-hour drop box, both at South Washington and at City Hall, and those are both picked up at least once a day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And then we will be opening for issuing of absentee ballots, our South Washington location this Thursday, as well as here at City Hall, so you can walk in person and get your absentee ballot right away. Also this Thursday is our final day, switching gears completely here. This Thursday is the final day for medical marijuana provisioning center applications, so that is the deadline for those applications for the 5 remaining licenses authorized under the ordinance that we have here in the city. And with that, we are to community event announcements. If anyone in the audience has a community event, we'll give you 1 minute to tell us the details.
Don't see anyone?
I don't see anyone. Okay. Speaker registration for public comment on legislative matters, and that includes the green sheet for those who received notice of orders for a make safe or demolish a show cause hearing. Please sign in on the green sheet in the back, or to speak about any of the legislative matters, which includes the public hearings, consent agenda, resolutions for action, and ordinances for introduction and passage. We'll be picking that up in just a few seconds, so please make your way to the back if you want to sign up to speak on. And with that, we are to the mayor's comments.
And the executive assistant, Samantha.
Thank you, Madam President. In response to the flooding we've had across the city, we are hosting a meeting for neighbors affected by the flooding on Thursday, July 11th, at Sycamore Creek Church from 4 to 6:30, and there'll be resources available for those affected by the flooding and our representatives from Public Service there to address questions. Councilman Jackson, you're gonna like this morning. We kicked off the Know It Before You Throw It recycling campaign, a partnership with the State Department of Energy, Great Lakes and Environment, or EGLE, and the City of East Lansing. It's an education campaign to promote proper recycling, and for more information, you can visit the website. It is recyclingraccoons.org, and it's adorable, so you should check that out. The GAP feeding program for school-age children will be held tomorrow at the Lake Lansing Meijer, and if you would like to register, you can call our Department of Human Relations and Community Services. The number is 517-483-4477, again, 483-4477. Habitat for Humanity will hold its Rock the Block program in Baker neighborhood July 8th through 12th, and it's a home renovation and repair program that Habitat's hosting in Baker for the second of 3 years. Next week, we also have our 4th of July festivities, so on Thursday morning at 11, you can come and watch the 4th of July parade or walk with us if you'd like. And the celebration continues that evening at Riverfront Park at 8 p.m. with a patriotic performance of the Lansing Concert Band and fireworks immediately following. And finally, for those of you who know Martha Fujita in our office, Martha is retiring at the end of this month, so her last day is actually Thursday, and she has been with the city for 25 years. So if you see Martha this week in City Hall, wish her well, and she will be retiring after a long service to the city. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we are to the show cause hearings. We do have 2 show cause hearings tonight, and in consideration of orders to make safe or demolish 3005 Herrick Drive, and in consideration of orders to make safe or demolish 410 South Francis.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Madam President. What we have before us, as our city clerk said, are 2 hearings this evening in consideration of orders to make safe or demolish. The first one is for 3005 Herrick Drive in Lansing here. The home, the SEV value of the home is $38,000, but the estimated cost of repairs is $78,000. The home was red tagged in 2017. To this date, there have been no permits pulled. The demolition board met on February 28th, 2019, and there was, from my understanding, no one showed up there as well. And the hearings officer ordered the building demolished. This came before our Public Safety Committee on June 6, 2019, and there was no one there. The owners did not show there as well. As of today, it is my understanding that no permits have been pulled. You can see the pictures on the screen and the extensive damage of the home. And so we're having a show cause hearing for that. The next show cause hearing is another consideration of order to make safe or demolish for 410 South Francis. This is a privately owned home as well. I'm sorry, the one before was privately owned. This is a rental property for 410 Francis Avenue. The SEV value is $15,600. The estimated cost of repairs for this home is $63,095. It was red tagged June 2nd, 2018. There was a demo board meeting on 3/28/19, and the administrative hearings officer ordered the building demolished. As of May 2nd, 2019, no permits have been pulled on this building as well. Going back to 3005 Herrick Drive, the estimated cost of repairs for that are $78,000. The winter taxes for 2018 have not been paid.
Okay, we have one speaker, Tyler Hauser.
Oh.
You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Yeah, I own 3005 Eric. I've been trying to work with the city, trying to get in there, and then since then, vandals had went in and destroyed it. I work 7:30 to 5:30. The permit says I can only be there from 7 or 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I have no time to do anything. Now it's almost too bad to where nobody can do anything with it, and I've been trying to get the city to let me in there, change the hours or do something years ago, and they wouldn't. I've been fighting with them forever. Every time they come there, there's something else wrong, and they want me to go pick it up or fix it, and I try to comply with that. I got like 5 pages of complaints on it. I complied with all of them, and I've been trying to do it, but code and compliance don't work with nobody. They wouldn't change the time so I could get on there. You know, just change it till 8 o'clock at night or give me some weekends to work on it. I'm at a loss of what to do. All I ask is you don't demolish it. You just let me try to figure things out and give me more time, you know, a leeway somewhere. You guys won't give me a leeway to fix it. If somebody works these hours and then can't do it and then asks for a time change and they ain't gonna do it, what are you supposed to do? That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Sir, this will be taken up in the Public Safety Committee on July 18th. And when that is taken up, the things that if you want to stop the order on make safe or demolish, the things that you would need to bring at that time would be, 1, a plan showing how you intend and a timeline to make the property safe. 2 would be to pull the permits that are needed to do that. And 3 would be able to demonstrate that you have the financial wherewithal to do that. Your last opportunity with this is that if you choose to take the property down yourself, then you do not have to incur the cost if the city does it. So again, that would be on July 18th here on the 10th floor in the conference room behind us in the chamber at 3:30. Thank you.
On the referral of the show cause hearings, number 1, 3005 Herrick Drive,
Back to the Public Safety Committee.
and number 2, 410 South Francis.
Again, back to the Public Safety Committee.
Okay, we are to public comment on legislative matters, and as I indicated, that includes the consent agenda, resolutions for action, ordinances for introduction, and ordinances for passage, and the following public hearings that I'll read into the record. Number 1, in consideration of amending Chapter 1615, regulation of the days and times permitting the unlicensed ignition, discharge, and use of consumer fireworks and the penalties for violations. And number 2, in consideration of noise special permit rehabilitating Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard from Pleasant Grove Road north to 550 feet south of Victor Avenue for work on weekdays and weekends during the 2019 construction season.
And at this point, I would pass the gavel to the Vice President Spatafor.
Madam President.
Thank you. For the first public hearing that we have, this has to do with the fireworks ordinance based on the fact that the state has changed the regulations with that in order for the city to be able to enforce the fireworks ordinance. We have to comply with the same guidelines that are set up through the state. What that would do is currently we have 30 days that in our current ordinance that you are allowed to display and discharge fireworks. That's the day before, the day of, and the day after a federal holiday. What this would change to is you would be able to discharge fireworks from 11 a.m. to 11:45 on the following days, December 31st until 1 a.m. on January 1st, the Saturday or Sunday immediately preceding Memorial Day until 11:45 on each of those days. June, you would have from June 29th to July 4th at 11:45 on each of those days. On July 5th, if that date is a Friday or Saturday up until 11:45, that would mean that you'd have approximately 6 days there in June. And then the Saturday or Sunday immediately preceding Labor Day until 11:45. And that would be a total of 12 days. We did receive inquiries. Apparently, there are other communities that have passed ordinances that had restrictions of where they could display fireworks. We did check with our legislative assistant as well as she's part of the city attorney's office. And after reviewing those, she believes that they're not enforceable, and according to the state law, that we would be in violation of the state law if we tried to do that. So this also gives us a mechanism to institute a $1,000 fine with that. The next is we had at our last council meeting a public hearing on this. The state requested that we hold another public hearing. Both of these items we will be passing further on in the agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. City Attorney.
I just want to add one other thing to the fireworks, because we received a lot of questions about location, where the explosion of fireworks may not be conducted, and there is a state statute that deals with this issue, which it's a civil infraction under the state statute. A person shall not ignite, discharge, or use consumer fireworks on public property, school property, church property, or the property of another person without that organization's or person's express permission to use those fireworks. So this is a separate statute that deals with the location. It's doubtful that we can do anything with our ordinance because of the way the latest legislation is drafted, but there is a freestanding, it's a state civil infraction.
Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, I will give you back the gavel.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have Zach Frazier and then Joanne Bowman.
Good evening, City Council members and Lansing residents. My name is Zach Frazier, and I work in Representative Anthony's office. Tonight, I'm here to listen to the discourse surrounding fireworks in the city of Lansing. Last session, Representative Anthony voted to reduce the window to set off commercial-grade fireworks from 30 days surrounding a holiday to 12, like you mentioned before. This legislation also allowed communities to create local ordinances that prohibit fireworks past 11:30 p.m. And I just want to let everybody here know that I will be here after the event if anybody would like to speak to me regarding state issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joanne Bowman.
Good evening, council members. My name is Joanne Bowman. I live at 824 West Ionia in the Genesee neighborhood, a neighborhood not unfamiliar with gunfire, heavy partiers, and hard workers. I speak on behalf of my entire household. I am pro 12 days, not 30 days for fireworks. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, and I do believe in celebrations, especially the 4th of July. But I also believe in a citizen's legal right to the quiet enjoyment of their property. This means limited days, limited hours for fireworks. Fireworks are very disruptive. The way I look at it, there's 3 kinds. There's the very loud, explosive kinds that sound like there's an explosion of a building. I don't know if they're legal or not, but it's like, should I call the police or not? The second kind are loud fireworks that sound obviously like fireworks. Loud. The third kind is the kind that you think, is it gunfire or fireworks? Should I call the police or not? Which is a question that happens a lot in our household. Seeing that my neighborhood is familiar very much with gunfire year-round. Who does it hurt to have extended days, the 30 days, for fireworks? Who it hurts most are people with anxiety, people with PTSD, especially veterans with PTSD, and workers who need their sleep. Also, there's the pet factor. Pets love to run away when there's fireworks, which causes great distress to owners. Okay, so, I mean, I'm laughing now, but every time, honestly, I hear a firework, I'm like, is that gunfire? Is it not? Loud ones, is it explosion or not? So I really think things should be limited. However, the $500 to $1,000 fine is a problem. 1, people might be more hesitant to call in issues if there is an issue. 2, police might be more hesitant to give out a ticket. 3, this is Lansing, Michigan. A $1,000 fine, I think, is way too much. It may even be unconstitutional. It's just way too much. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Listening.
Thank you. That was our last speaker, so we are to the referral of the hearings. Number 1, amending Chapter 1615.
Both of these will be acted on this evening.
Okay.
And we did receive a letter, an email from Pam Sage, who supported the change in the firework ordinance, did have some concerns about the length of time over 4th of July.
Thank you. All right, then we are to the consent agenda.
Vice President Spatafor.
Madam President, I think I'm going to pull everything off the consent agenda except for items 1B and C, because I assume that item 4B is going to have a little discussion, so, as the reappointments.
Yes.
So the items left on the consent agenda are tributes in recognition of the 65th anniversary of Paradise Missionary Baptist Church and a tribute in recognition of National Scoliosis Awareness Month. Both events have already occurred, and the resolutions were presented. We're just going to act on them this evening.
All right, we have a motion on the consent agenda. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose, passes unanimously. At this time, we would move to the public safety agenda and for the confirmation of the appointment of Aaron Milton and Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Madam President. We have before us is a resolution for the appointment of Aaron Milton as an at-large member of the Board of Police of Commissioners for a term to expire June 30th, 2023. And I think Mr. Milton is here.
Yes, he is.
So if you want to come down here.
All right, we have a motion before us. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Pastor, if you could come into the well, and we'll have you stand at the mic, and the clerk will swear you in.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan. I will faithfully discharge the duty of the member of the Board of Police Commissioner to according to the best of my ability.
I want to thank you for that, and that would move us on to Committee of the Whole. Vice President Spatafor.
Madam President, I would move the resolution confirming the appointment of Joseph Graves as the third ward member of the Board of Water and Light for a term to expire June 30th, 2023. This evening at Committee of the Whole, Mr. Graves expressed his interest and willingness to serve, his extensive background working in a number of fields, including as director in the energy management field for the state of California. Appreciate his willingness to focus on sustainability, but also keep an eye on rates for ratepayers here in the city of Lansing as in service on the Board of Water and Light.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. We have a motion. If you would come down, please. Are there any questions or concerns at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Mr. Graves, if you come down to the mic, we'll get you sworn in. Yeah.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan. And I will faithfully discharge the duties as a member of the Board of Water and Light, Board of Commissioners, according to the best of my abilities. Thank you so much.
And I believe we have one more appointment that is here this evening, and this is a reappointment. Vice President Spatafor.
So we have one resolution for the confirmation of, or did it come back as divided? How does that work?
Unless they ask to have it divided.
We have one resolution for the confirmation of all reappointments, including Ken Ross as an at-large member of the Lansing Board of Water and Light, Wyatt Ludman as an at-large member of the Fire Board, and Sandra Thompson-Coak as a third ward member of the Board of Police Commissioners. And I do move the resolution.
All right, we have a motion before us. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Mr. Ross, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Mr. Ross, if you'd like to come down, we'll go ahead and swear you in for your reconfirmation. Since you sat there so patiently all evening. Thank you. We're back to general services.
Okay, so we are to general services.
This time I would pass the gavel to the Vice President.
All right, Madam President, first item under General Services.
The first item that we have before us is a fireworks display for the Lugnuts that would be on July 5th. They had a rain day, and so they are asking to do a display on the 5th. They have all the appropriate sign-offs with that, so I would move the resolution.
Resolution designating a rain day which guarantees no rain on the 4th of July. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion seems to have carried.
Right.
Next item.
The next item is a claim appeal. This particular claim is at 730 North Pine. When the claimant came before us, it was determined that he had sold the property on a quitclaim deed. He no longer had the right to make a claim, and so based on that, we are denying the claim. I would move that.
The resolution has been moved to deny the claim. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item, reconsideration of the resolution 2019-175. Madam President.
This is dealing with a noise waiver. This is work that is going to be done on Miller Road from Cedar to Aurelius, and also on Turner from Douglas to Randolph Street. This would allow for work to be done between 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Saturdays through August 8th, July 8th through August 4th. And then on Turner, it would be again on July 15th through the 18th. And this again is the resolution to approve the setting. Oh, this is a reconsideration, that's right, I'm sorry. I first would move to that we do a reconsideration.
It's been moved by Council President Wood to reconsider the vote by which 2019-175 passed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries for reconsideration. Madam President.
All right, and again, this is to set the public hearing, as I said, for those.
And this public hearing is July 8th at 7 p.m.
Do we have to adopt this? This is the resolution, so why are we doing a substitute?
The resolution that was adopted before did not set the public hearing. It was the complete wrong resolution.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you is that the resolution is clear in the books now, so why would it be a substitute?
By reconsideration, you've undone the vote, so now you have before you the resolution that was adopted 2 weeks ago, so that is not the correct resolution.
Oh, all right. And so now we move the substitute. Sorry about
The
this.
substitute has been moved by President Wood for a resolution 2019-175. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Now we're
Carries.
setting the public hearing.
It's been moved by President Wood to set the public hearing for July 8th at 7 p.m. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're to the Committee on Public Safety.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Madam President. What we have before us is ordinances for introduction. The first one amends Chapter 664, Section 664.01 to make violation of subsection, am I not, what?
No, we're on order to make safe.
I'm sorry. Where
This
am
is
I?
to extend, this is the extension of
Oh, okay.
3815
Yep,
Marion.
yep. Apologies. This is a order to make safe or demolish from 3815 Marion, an extension of 60 days. This has gone through initial Public Safety Committee and also a public hearing. But the couple that owns the home, there have been extensive repairs made, permits pulled, And they've asked for an extension so they can complete the work. And so we're going to give them a 60-day extension for the order of make safe and demolish. And with that, I move the resolution.
Councilmember Hussein.
The only thing that I would add is that 60-day extension is from the May 28th initial deadline, not from today.
Thank you.
Yes, and we did vote to demolish on that, but since then, there have been, as Councilmember Spitzley said, some improvements in it. So with that, are there any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are now to the 6 vote items by the Committee on General Services.
Pass the gavel.
Madam President, noise special permit.
The first item that we have before us has to do with the noise waiver for the work on Martin Luther King from Pleasant Grove to Victor. This is the second. We had 2 public hearings on this. We did not hear from anyone in the public having any objections, so I would move the resolution.
I'm sorry, not
Your
used to that.
turn.
It's been moved by President Wood to approve the resolution. Is there any further discussion now that I'm awake? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously.
And now that I have the gavel back, it's Committee of Whole.
Which is me again.
Vice President Spatafor.
Madam President, I move the resolution approving a payment in the proposed settlement as full and final settlement in the case of Deanna Ray and all others similarly situated, a certified class versus the City of Lansing, Ingham County Circuit Court, case number 13-1242-NZ. Talked about this at length at the Committee of the Whole meeting. It's a $1.25 million settlement related to a flooding case several years ago, $300,000 of which will go towards the backflow preventative program, the rest going to the class as a settlement. And a lot of discussion was had about the funding source, which is in fact from the sewer fund. That's pretty much it.
All right, we have a motion. Are there any questions? Councilmember Jackson.
If it's advised, I'd move to recuse myself because I worked on this in 2015 with the city, and I don't know if it's appropriate to vote or not.
Well, it doesn't appear from what you've stated that there is an actual direct conflict to you right now. But obviously, if someone else raises a conflict, then it has to go through the voting procedure. But I don't see where there is an issue with you, Mr. Jackson.
All right. Okay, with that, do we have any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Passes. Vice President Spatafor, we're now to the budget amendment.
Yes, I would like to move the resolution approving the budget amendment to the fiscal year 19 budget. Angie was here, she's not anymore, but discussed the number of changes, including increases in revenue from the special election fund, or special election that were reimbursed in the Lansing School District, changes in the vacancy factor, and additional reimbursements for the stadium field conversion out of the stadium fund.
All right, we have a motion on the budget amendment. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Before we go on, you, Mr. Clerk, had indicated that the items before us were 6-vote items. Is that correct? And when I asked the city attorney about the approval of the settlement, he indicated that was a 5-vote item.
It's a 5-vote item. There is no actual appropriation of
I just want to make
unappropriated
sure
money.
that we're clear on that.
He is the attorney.
All right, so we will take that at that. Thank you.
All right. We are to ordinances for introduction. Councilmember Wood introduced an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend the Lansing Codified Ordinances by amending Chapter 864, Chapter 664, Section 664.01 to make violation of subsection C, which prohibits language that would tend to cause an immediate breach of the peace, a municipal civil infraction. The ordinance is read a first time and referred to the Committee on Public Safety.
Okay, Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Madam President. So this is an introduction set of public hearing, and I guess I'll have the city attorney supplement and other folks on public safety supplement if I don't have the information correct. But this resolution is recommended because there are cases where this violation, conduct of breach of peace should be misdemeanors, and there are also others that don't rise to the level of misdemeanor, if I'm mistaken. And so this adds a second category of disorderly conduct, which is a civil infraction. And that gives the Office of the City Attorney some flexibility. Under the civil infraction, the fines could be as high as $250 or whatever the court decides. I think there was some discussion at Council on Public Safety of whether or not this change was being proposed because of recent issues that were in the newspaper. The city attorney acknowledged that it was not based on any specific case, but it was an ongoing issue in his office and the city prosecutor, and it was just, again, allowing the city attorney in some flexibility. And with that, I move the resolution.
Councilmember Hussein, did you want to add anything to that?
No, just that I believe the civil infraction would be a fine of up to $250. And there was a piece where we took out the word profanity, correct? And this was a First Amendment issue.
Okay.
The word profanity is unconstitutional in this ordinance.
Because of a First Amendment thing.
In the older ordinance, yes.
Right. Okay.
All right, so and this would be setting the public hearing for July 8th. Yes, ma'am. Are there any questions or concerns on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes unanimously. After he reads this, then I'll go to you, Councilmember Spitzley.
Oh, jeez.
That's okay.
Okay, Councilmember Wood introduced an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend the Lansing Codified Ordinances by amending Chapter 658, Section 658.04 to clarify the places where crowding, obstructing, or blocking of passage is prohibited and providing for warning by a law enforcement officer to cease such behavior. The ordinance is read for the first time by its title and referred to the Committee on Public Safety.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Madam President. So this, the introduction of this and setting of the public hearing, which would also be July 8th, 2019, would amend Chapter 658, as the clerk said, clarification on blocking, crowding, or obstruction. The amendment creates a clarification that includes more activities which would be considered an obstruction, to obstruct, not an obstruction, but to obstruct. And that the amendment would now also require that first a warning be issued. Council President Wood asked if the definition of blocking is just a physical person or would also address a vehicle. And our city attorney stated that it would be any activity, but it would have to be done by a person and tied to someone actually doing it. And then this ordinance, the violation would be a misdemeanor. There are some comments as to why the changes are being proposed. And again, I think it was just to give city prosecutors and the Office of City Attorney some flexibility and clear up some issues with applying facts and laws. So if there's a clarification.
Mr. City Attorney.
If I may, Madam Chair. So these three ordinances are a result of experience in the district court prosecution. We, in our office, review district court operations at least on a weekly basis. And these are issues that have come up with difficulty in prosecution, either because it has language that has since been ruled unconstitutional, like the profanity language provision, or they're just cumbersome that need correction. So with the telephone one you're gonna have coming up here is to modernize it to cover new telecommunication equipment. So that's basically it. It's from on the ground in the district court and seeing the problems with the current ordinances.
And again, I think part of what we heard in this particular one was it was so broad that by putting some definitions in there, it made it easier for enforcement. So with that, do we have any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That takes us to the next one, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, Councilmember Wood introduced an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend the telephone harassment ordinance in its entirety, Section 658.05 of the Lansing Codified Ordinances by defining and regulating the conduct of telecommunications access device harassment and to provide penalties thereof. The ordinance is read a first time by its title and referred to the Committee on Public Safety.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, as the city attorney said, this is another ordinance that kind of clears up some language and allows some flexibility. This one kind of brings us to modernizes this section. One of the questions was asked was about enforcement. You know, we all deal with robocalls, for example. But you know, the issue there is if those calls, if it can be proven that those calls, that there's an intent to disturb with continued communication. Some other examples provided by the city attorney were issues with disgruntled relationships, government offices receiving harassed and repeated phone calls. President Wood asked if this ordinance would provide a first warning and was told that it would not, but there needs to be proof that they are using the device with the intent to disturb someone's peace and quiet. President Wood also asked if that included computers, and the city attorney replied that it would be any device that creates the transmission. So yes, it would include computers, and with that, we're gonna set the public hearing again for July 8th, 2019, and I move the resolution, unless there's something else.
Thank you. We have a motion on the resolution. Is there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. We're going to go back in the agenda, but before the clerk reads that into the public record, I do want to also clarify, when we set the public hearing dealing with the noise waiver, because of the change in this now, we will be voting on that the same night that it has the public hearing, because the date is July 8th that they want to be able to start doing the work. So it will be voted on that night as well. Mr. City Clerk.
Thank you, President Wood. Okay, the Committee on Development and Planning introduced an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan, providing for the rezoning of a parcel of real property located in the City of Lansing, Michigan, for the revision of the district maps adopted by Section 1246.02 of the Code of Ordinances for properties located at 11907 Jolly Highway to the A Residential Zoning District, 4820, 4848, 4880, 4902, 5030, 5050, and 5058 South Waverly Road, from F Commercial District to the E2 Local Shopping District. The ordinance was introduced by the Committee on Development and Planning. It's being read for the first time by its title and referred to the Committee on Development and Planning.
Councilmember Hussein.
So this pertains to 8 parcels situated over about 11 acres of land at the northwest corner of Jolly and Waverly. Just to give you a little bit of history, because this is not, I think, this is a rarity, obviously, when we talk about annexation, particularly township into the city of Lansing. Again, a little bit of history. There is a property owner at 4880 South Waverly Road. That's a Washtenaw County business person. This individual arrived at a place a while back where they wanted to essentially lease their particular property to a medical marijuana tenant. Delta Township, their regulatory framework does not allow for such. And so this individual went to school on township to city annexation, and learned that one of the ways to get such an initiative on a ballot is to get 20% of the residents within the proposed territory to be annexed into the city to actually sign petitions and then to submit ballot language to the county clerk. So he was able to do that. The two residents at 11097 Jolly Highway, husband and wife, did sign the petitions, and he did submit ballot language to the Eaton County Clerk. The way that township to city annexation works is that automatically triggers a ballot initiative into the city that the territory is proposed to be annexed into. So on November 6th, the two residents, because only the individuals within the proposed territory to be annexed have to actually vote on that ballot initiative. Those two individuals did approve the annexation, and 61% of the city of Lansing's residents did approve that annexation. Per state statute, the way it works is that the parcels of land that are being annexed into the city, they are given what is called an interim zoning designation. And so that zoning designation most closely resembled what they were as part of Delta Township. And so they were given commercial designation in terms of the seven that front South Waverly. The planning board per state statute then has 180 days to take a look at those parcels, to take a look at land use, existing land use, to take a look at our master plan, and then to recommend to this body final zoning and permanent, zoning designation. What is before us tonight is a recommendation, and obviously what we're doing is setting the public hearing, but the recommendation that came from the planning board was to take the 7 parcels of land on South Waverly and to designate those as E2 local shopping district. Again, that most closely aligned with the master plan. If you look at the northeast corner of Jolly and Waverly, that is also E2 local shopping district. And then for 11097, the recommendation was a residential. So again, what we are doing is setting a public hearing tonight for the permanent zoning of the newly annexed properties on South Waverly Road and Jolly Road, and I believe that public hearing would be July 22nd.
Okay, are there any questions or concerns on this? Councilmember Dunbar.
What was the zoning designation that they were asking for?
The property owner at 4880 South Waverly wanted G2 wholesale. And it was initially for medical marijuana. He has since transitioned to wanting to do self-storage at that site.
All right. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, now the Committee on Public Services. Councilmember Spatafor introduced an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend the Lansing Catified Ordinances by amending Chapter 606, Section 606.03 to require signs or advertisements to include on the sign contact information of the person or organization conducting the sale. The ordinance is read a first time by its title and referred to the Committee on Public Services.
Vice President Spatafor.
Madam President, I move the resolution setting the public hearing for July 8th, 2019 at 7 p.m. for the amendment to Chapter 606, Section 606.03. A little detail on this. We were contacted by some folks that were doing estate sales and auctioneer businesses in the city, and some of their signs had been collected for violating the city sign ordinance, and they wanted to know what they were violating, and it was that they don't have the address of the sale printed on the signs, and that is a violation of the ordinance. But when we looked into it, a number of these companies use permanent signage with directional arrows, and they were actually following all of the sign ordinance except for this piece. And we kind of talked to them as well, you know, these are the rules, let's see what we can work out here. And working with the department and legal, we came up with an idea that the ordinance was last written in 1985, and in 1985 there was no ability for the code enforcement person to pick up a phone and call the owner of the sign to see when the sale was, where it was going to be for these permanent type signs. So we're adding the option for a person to add a phone number on the sign to identify the owner to be contacted in the event that the sign may be in violation of the ordinance or continue to require the address either it's the address or the phone number. It's not nothing else in the ordinance is changing, just allowing a little bit more flexibility in what can be on the sign to identify if that sign is in violation of the time limit.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, this is setting the public hearing for, I saw you, Kathy. This is setting the public hearing for
I'm sorry, I said it in the motion, July 8th, 2009.
July 8th, all right. Councilmember Dunbar?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, because I think that we've operated for many, many years under the assumption that no signage is allowed in the public right-of-way. And under this ordinance, and even the existing ordinance, you can have signs in the right-of-way. They have to go out the night before the event, sale, whatever, after, I think, 8 o'clock. And they have to be picked up the same day, but not more than 4 days, correct?
2 days before,
2
1
days.
day after.
1 day after.
And this ordinance does not touch that at all. It literally
Right,
just
right.
adds the option to add a phone number to it.
Right, so right now, I think that we've had signs picked up in the city before for violating the ordinance, but it's actually, they're allowed in the sections between the sidewalk and the road and in rights of way, as long as they comport with the actual location or phone number of the company and identify the company, correct?
You're maybe overly broadly interpreting signs. This is
Yes.
specifically related to
Sales.
sales, auctions, rummage sales,
Yes.
yard sales, garage sales, or other
Okay.
similar sales.
Okay, sales.
Yeah.
I'll go with sales.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But not, I think it's still,
you
Mr.
can't
Clerk,
have-
correct me if I'm wrong,
can't have
but
a pizza
political signs,
Yeah.
permanent, that kind of stuff is not allowed, including the flea market up in DeWitt that continually drops signs in the city.
Right. Okay. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, again, this is setting the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Mr. Clerk?
Okay. We are to ordinances for passage. We have an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend the Lansing Codified Ordinances by amending Chapter 1615, Sections 1615.02 and 1615.06 to provide for the regulation of the days and times permitting the unlicensed ignition, discharge, and use of consumers' firework and the penalties for violation of the regulations, and to conform the regulations and penalties to the requirements of Michigan 2018 Public Act 635 regarding local government ordinance is read a second time. The ordinance was reported from the Committee on General Services and is on the order of immediate passage.
I would pass the gavel.
Thank you. Madam President.
I would move the ordinance. I think we've talked about this during the public hearing, and we talked about it when we set the public hearing. So this is a roll call vote, so I would move the ordinance.
It's been moved by Council President Wood to pass the ordinance. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll need a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk?
On adoption of the ordinance, Councilmember Dunbar. Yes. Councilmember Garza. Yes. Councilmember Hussein. Yes. Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley. Yes. Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays. The ordinance is adopted.
The ordinance is
Mr.
adopted. Madam President, would you move for immediate effect?
Yes, I'm moving for immediate effect.
Immediate effect has been asked for. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Immediate effect is so ordered.
Okay, we are to speaker registration for public comment on city government-related matters. If you wish to sign up to speak, please jump up right now. Seeing nobody, okay, we're to reports of city officers, boards, and commissions.
Vice President Spatafor.
Madam President, I move that all items be considered as being read in full and that the proper referrals be made by you.
We have a motion. Are there any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
We have letters from the city clerk regarding minutes of boards, commissions, and authorities.
Placed on file.
Fireworks display license that was acted on, no, I guess it wasn't. Yeah, it
Yes,
was
it
acted
was.
on earlier this evening.
To General Services for part of the record and placed on file.
Letters from the mayor regarding Z3 2019 835 West Genesee rezoning from C residential to DM1 residential district.
Development and Planning Committee.
Z4, 2019-213 West Malcolm X Street, rezoning from C residential to F commercial district.
Development and Planning.
SLU 2019 special land use permit for a neighborhood community center in the DM1 residential district, 835 West Genesee Street.
Development and Planning.
Act 16, 2015, acquisition of boat club property.
That's Development and Planning.
Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act certificate, Summit Street Development LLC for property at 700 May Street.
And that's Development and Planning.
Act 13, 2019, granting an easement, 600 block of East Michigan Avenue, public right-of-way.
Public Service Committee.
Appointment Paul Connors as an at-large member of the Board of Review.
To Committee of Whole.
Various reappointments.
To the Committee of Whole.
Letters from the city attorney regarding the proposed settlements on the Deanna Ray case.
To Committee of a Whole and placed on file.
Communications and petitions, claim appeal, claim number 1676, Faitha Clark for trash fees.
General Service and Internal Auditor.
Claim appeal, claim number 1695, Edgar Rivera Perez for trash fees at 1412 North Jenison.
General Services and Internal Auditor.
And Tri-County Office on Aging's 2020 to 2022 multi-year plan summary.
Committee of Whole.
And we are to a motion of excused absence.
We have a motion, Vice President Spatafor.
I move to excuse absent members, including Councilmember Washington.
We have a motion for Councilmember Washington. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes.
We are to remarks by council members.
Are there any other remarks by council members at this time? Seeing none.
Remarks by the executive assistant of the mayor.
Are there no remarks?
And there are no members of the public wishing to speak.
All right, so we will not have we will not be having Committee of a Whole on on July 1st. And so our next meeting will be July 8th. With that, we are adjourned.